Here we are inside the Swift Challenger 530 SE. We will firstly come to the main control panel and press the power button to turn the 12 volt on. Now we've done that, we can turn the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, fill the boiler up if it's been emptied. You'll see up here, this is just letting us know that we have main supply connected to the caravan and that we are using the leisure battery. If I now press view levels, it will give us a condition of the leisure battery. If we were hitched up to the tow vehicle, it would also display the condition of the vehicle battery. When you are hitched up, when you start the engine, if you do return back in here, you will find that this light here and this light here is illuminated. It's just letting you know that the alternator is charging the batteries. Beside this, we then have the control panel for the Alde heating and hot water. If I now turn the unit on, you will see we are greeted with the home screen, which is letting us know that we have main supply connected and an internal temperature of the caravan. If I now press menu, it will bring up its basic functions. You'll see the top one here is the thermostat for the heating, just plus and minus, just to pick what temperature you would like it inside the caravan. The one beneath that is for hot water. You'll see currently hot water is off. If I now press plus, we can turn hot water on. This will heat water up, just depending on power source, roughly to about 60 degrees. What we can also do is press it again and we can perform a boost on the boiler, which is extremely handy if there's going to be more than one of you having a shower in quick succession of each other, or if you just want a longer shower. If you do perform this boost and the heating is running, it will turn the heating off because it needs to rob the power to be able to do it. So I'm just going to drop it back down again. Next we have power source. So at the moment, even though this is now green and highlighted that it's on, we're not doing anything until we've actually picked a power source down here. Lightning strike represents mains electricity. So if I now press that, we have mains electricity using 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts. So this is just dependent on the ampage of the site that you're on. That way you can limit yourself and stop yourself from tripping. If I now turn it back off again, if we have no main supply, we can run on gas. Or if we want to get up to temperature really quickly and we have both options available to us, we can run in dual fuel. Whenever the actual heating is running, so if I now just turn the thermostat up above the temperature that it is inside the caravan, if I now press the menu button, you'll now see we've got this little circle here. This little circle represents the circulation pump for the heating system, and it's just letting you know that the heating is now in operation. As soon as I drop it underneath, it will then obviously turn back off again. Okay, next we have the settings menu, and within this we have two timers. So we have a night timer and a day timer. So night mode on and off just here. Set the temperature you want it to be throughout the night period. Set when you want night mode on, whether it's for all days of the week, and then when you want night mode to end. You can invert the backlight by highlighting this one here, so this white screen goes to black, the writing goes to white, and you can also basically tell the boiler that you don't want hot water produced throughout that period. Very handy if you're wild camping, so you're not wasting gas whilst you're asleep. Then we have a picture of a sun, which is virtually the same again, and it's just the day timer. Prioritise is what the system prioritises in using whilst in dual fuel mode. So at the moment it will favour main supply over gas. So once you're up to temperature, it will cut the gas away and maintain on the electricity. If you are on a very low amp site, you can prioritise gas over mains. This one here just controls the brightness of the backlight, etc. This one is not used on this model. And obviously if you're going to be using timers and stuff, you need to set the time, day of the week, etc. If we now arrow down, we then have this one here, which is antimicrobial. Basically this boiler can self-sanitize itself. So if you highlight this one in green, you do also need to be using night mode. So that needs to be turned on. Basically at about 3 o'clock in the morning, the boiler will come on, rapidly heat up to kill off any bacteria that may be in it. Temperature offset just for the thermostat, so if you don't think it's quite correct, you can just tweak it by a few degrees. High altitude mode, so if you are caravanning over 1,000 meters above sea level, you can activate this and it will then make the heating and hot water system run better at different air pressure. Button beeps on and off. Instead of having multiple timers, you can just have one start and stop. Pump settings, please leave it on thermal. Factory reset, external start, you don't need to worry about that. You can have extra bits and bobs added if you want to control your heating and your hot water from a smartphone or a tablet. Obviously change the language. Service, more for the workshop, but if you press it, it will let you know all the temperatures. Installed accessories. There's only one in here that's really of any use, which is this one here, which is the load monitor. If I now go back up, you'll see this is highlighted. If you arrive on site and you know how many amps the site is, you can then pick. So say it's a low 10 amp site. It now does not matter that I'm running on 3 kilowatts. It will stop itself from tripping. Now we'll turn it back off again. Next we have in the locker beside the microwave, the solar panel regulator. You do not need to do anything with this. It just lets you know what it's up to. So you'll see a currently blinking green light, which is just letting you know that UV light is hitting the panel. And you will see a solid green light above it, which means that the leisure battery is as good as fully charged. When the solar panel is actually putting what I class as a hard charge into the battery, this solid green light here will change from green to red. Red does not mean bad, it just means that it's charging. The microwave itself is a fairly standard microwave. Obviously works only on main supply. The isolator switch for it is just in this locker here. It is always a good idea to remove the glass plate for travel, and then it really behaves much like any microwave. You have quick start, stop, etc., defrost. The 3 gas burner and 1 electric hot plate. For the hot plate, works on this one here. Just turn. Everything else is fairly sort of standard, as it were, so it is a matter of pushing in and then pressing the igniter. There we go. Same with the grill. Grill pan just there. And again, push in, twist, press the igniter. There we go. And then the oven. There we go. Beneath that we have storage, but what we also have in here is just where the hot plate is plugged in. Beside it we have some gas isolation tats for the appliances. They are colour coded and then match on the sticker up here. They're all in the on position, and I always say they can be left like that. Turning them on and off is more for maintenance. I always say, smell gas in the van, just go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. Next we have the Dometic fridge. To turn this on, just hold the button in here. And we are now currently running on main supply with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I want to use gas, just press twice and it will then switch over. These automatically ignite themselves. If it now fails to light, what will happen is it will beep at us and this will begin to flash red. If you think it may just be a little bit of air in the system because say you've replaced a gas bottle, etc., what you can then do is press this and it will reset and try again. After gas, we then have 12 volt maintain for when we're towing. If I now press this, because we're not hitched up at the moment, you'll see it's letting us know that it hasn't got 12 volt at the moment. It will also make this noise if you are on main supply and you lose main supply. Temperature control, just on this one here. And then it is just push down. Next we have the location of the boiler, consumer unit, etc., which is all underneath the bench seat just here. So if we now just lift the cushions up and we flip up, you will see the consumer unit just sits here. So we have the 12 volt fuses just here. They are all numbered up. And then we have the trip switches just here. So we have the individual MCBs, the RCD and test button just here. And again, they are all numbered up. Next, along the top of it, we have isolator switches. So the one that's illuminated here does not need to be on, as it's a spare. But you will see we have heating and hot water, so if I turn this off, we'll just confuse the Aldi control panel by the entrance door, so we can leave that on. That'll always go off obviously when we disconnect from the main supply anyway. We have a green one here for the battery charger. Obviously we want that on because we want to be charging the batteries up when we're hooked up to main supply. And this one here that's not illuminated will illuminate if we have reverse polarity connected to the van. That is not an issue if you do have reverse polarity. These Sargent units will reverse it and make it safe. And then lastly we have full system shutdown just here. So if you're not using the caravan for a long period of time, you can press this and it will shut the whole system down. If you do that, it will also shut the solar panel down as well, so you do need to weigh up your options. It's definitely more advisable to use it in the winter months when we're not getting so much sunlight. If I now just flap this open here, you will see that we have a little sticker here that then just lets you know what each individual 12 volt fuse is for and then what each individual MCB is for. The battery charger just sits here. The water pump just sits here, and then the boiler itself just sits beneath this part here. To drain the boiler down for winterization and for travel, it is just done on this yellow lever here. It's currently in the closed position. To drain it down, make sure the water pump is turned off and then just flap up. Because I've left the water pump on at the moment, all that's happening now is it's frantically trying to fill the boiler back up again. So if I now flap it back over, it will now be drawing water out of the aqua roll outside, and in a second it will stop once the boiler is full. So that is basically how we refill it. Make sure there's water in the aqua roll, drop in the submersible, make sure that this is flapped over, turn the water pump on, and it will begin to prime the system. I always suggest that when fully draining down, once you've drained off the boiler, then open up all the taps as well, because A, it releases airlocks, but secondly, if you do get a harsh frost, hopefully the water will be forced out the end of the taps into an icicle instead of expanding in the pipework and splitting it. Also underneath here we have the control board for the motor mover, which is just here. It does have a little R for reset just there. So if you, for any reason, this unit does lose communication with the handset, what you can do is press that little reset button and then hold down both green buttons on the remote control and it will resync itself back up again. Underneath this side here we have storage, but we also have, just tucked right at the very back down here, probably can't see it because it's rather dark, but there is some more fuses. They are more for the outside of the caravan, so marker lights, etc. 12-volt feed from the hitch electrics to the fridge. The stereo is located just in this overhead locker just here. Fairly standard car stereo. Turn it on and off just on this source button just here. This caravan also comes fitted with an Omnivent fan. So to wind the roof vent up, just twist just here. And then this button here turns it on. You will see that we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed. Do make sure that this is back down for travel. If we now move to the washroom, we have the Thetford toilet just here. The bowl does swivel all around. If I now just remove the tape, to open to the cassette, just come down to the grey lever just here and just slide it across and it will then open it up. Blue button on the top to flush. And then close back up again. If this is not closed and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out, so do make sure that it has been shut to avoid damage. You will get an indication here to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. In the wardrobe we have the header tank for the Aldi heating system. So we just need to make sure that the fluid is between the minimum and the maximum. This is a ethylene glycol mix, so it has antifreeze in, so it obviously doesn't need to be removed during the winter months. If it does need topping up, do make sure you use an Aldi top-up solution, and it is the pink one in this particular van. Unscrew the cap here and then top up. Always take your reading once your heating has been running and up to temperature, because it will expand. Next we have the location of the television aerial. So the amplifier is just here. Turn it on and off on the top, and then you can control the boost on the front dial. To raise the mast, just undo the collar just here, and you can then push up and then get it into the position that you require. This little green window here just represents the back of the aerial, and then lock it into place. You'll see it currently says H on it, so it's sitting in the horizontal position. What we can do is turn the tail and flip it into a vertical position just by turning this part here, if you need to do additional tuning. Do make sure that the aerial is down for travel. We then just have the basin just here, And then we have the shower cubicle. Do make sure that the shower screen is clipped back on this part here for travel. And then beside that we just have the location of the freestanding table.